I never imagined I'd confront a heartless billionaire until he turned out to be my blind date. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air felt heavy, thick with tension, as I walked into the dimly lit restaurant. Every heartbeat echoed in my ears. My palms were clammy, trembling as they clutched my phone. I stared at the screen, checking the time for the third time in 5 minutes. He was late. Or maybe he wouldn't show. My heart sank. That peculiar mix of desperation and hope churned in my stomach. Just the night before, my best friend Julia had pushed me into this. You have to meet him. He's a billionaire. She exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. He's gorgeous, rich, and totally successful. What do you have to lose? I wanted to tell her that wealth doesn't matter when you're lonely. When hope feels like a cruel game. Yet, like a moth to a flame, I found myself drawn in. I scanned the room, searching for him amidst the murmuring crowd. Tables were filled with laughter and clinking glasses. A scent of rosemary and garlic wafted through the air, making my stomach rumble. I could barely focus on anything. My head swirled with the stories I had heard about him. They called him a monster, a greedy tycoon who crushed anyone in his path. But was that true? I needed to know. As I sat there, the silence wrapped around me like a cold blanket. I noticed a couple near the window, their laughter brimming with warmth. It felt like I was viewing a world I desperately wanted to belong to, but couldn't touch. My longing twisted in my chest. Suddenly, the door swung open. The mood shifted, a collective gasp ran through the patrons. I turned. There he stood, tall and broad-shouldered, his presence radiating power. His dark hair was tousled, and a subtle smirk played on his lips. People stopped. Time froze. He glanced around, eyes sharp and scanning, until they landed on me. A jolt surged through the room. Had he just scanned me like a business deal? My heart raced. As he approached, the floor felt unsteady beneath me. The air crackled with unsaid words. He extended his hand, a confident grin new in the dim restaurant light. You must be Ava. His voice was low, smooth like molten chocolate, yet there was an edge to it, like danger lurking beneath. It sent shivers down my spine. I reached for his hand, feeling an electric shock as our skin brushed, leaving me gasping for breath. Hi, I stammered, trying to hold his gaze. But his eyes were shrouded, revealing nothing, a closed book that I ached to crack open. His presence was overwhelming, magnetic. It pulled me in, and suddenly the entire restaurant faded away. My mind raced. What was a man like him doing on a blind date? Did he have any idea what it felt like to be trapped, longing for connection? What could he possibly want from me? The air thickened once more as he observed me, an inscrutable smile curling at the corners of his mouth. I felt small, like a pawn in his game. I needed to hold on, but somehow, all I could think was, what if he was everything they said he was? As our server approached, placing down glasses of wine, I braced myself. What question awaited us? What revelation would spill between us as our worlds collided? My heart drummed louder than ever. Uncertainty gripped me. I took a deep breath, my chest tightening. A chill ran up my spine. Would I lose myself in the mystery of this man or unravel his dark secrets before it was too late? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The conversation between us began cautiously. I could feel every word grazing the surface, neither of us daring to delve deeper. For moments that stretched into eternity, we exchanged pleasantries. I learned he had a penchant for vintage cars, while he chuckled at my attempt to articulate my love for poetry. Yet, despite the lightness, the weight of the unspoken loomed larger than ever. As the night wore on, I felt something shift in him. He leaned forward slightly, his gray eyes narrowing in contemplation. "So, Ava," he began, his voice dipping lower, "what's your story? I can sense there's more to you than what meets the eye." The question sent a thrill down my spine, both enticing and terrifying. Did he really want to know, or was this just another calculated move in his game? The walls I had built around myself began to creak and groan, but I resisted. Instead, I evaded, offering only a snippet that revealed little. "I'm just trying to find my place," I confessed softly, the honesty breaking through the veneer I wore. "It hasn't been easy." He nodded, his expression darkening slightly, almost empathetic. "Life has a way of pulling you down when you least expect it," he remarked, a flash of something vulnerable flickering across his features before it vanished. The darkness of his unspoken past reminded me of the tales I often heard about him. A heartless billionaire, a tyrant in designer shoes. Could he really be hiding his own scars beneath such a polished exterior? In that moment, amidst the hushed clinking of silverware and the soft murmur of distant laughter, a flicker of compassion sparked between us. I caught myself wondering if there was more behind the glimmer of his confidence, a story of loss, a tale of desperation, or perhaps a longing for something unnameable, just like me. Just then, our server returned, clearing our plates, momentarily breaking the tenuous spell. As he leaned in to place down another glass of wine, I caught a glimpse of my reflection through the glass, vulnerable, terrified, yet oddly hopeful. I schooled my features into a smile. What was this strange sense of camaraderie blossoming between us? Then he surprised me by asking, "What would you do if you could have one moment, just one, to change your past?" The question hung in the air like a fragile thread, binding us in a quiet intimacy that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. That a heavy sadness enveloped me. "I would have fought harder," I whispered, memories surfacing of moments I had let slip through my fingers, opportunities unlived, chances missed. "I would have taken the leap." He held my gaze, his unyielding intensity captivating. "And now?" His brow furrowed slightly, as if he truly cared what my thoughts might be. "Now?" I chuckled gently, though it felt bitter on my tongue. "Now I'm just trying to survive." I realized that sometimes hope is all we have left. "Hope," he echoed quietly, but the way he said it felt like it weighed down with uncertainty, and just then, the ominous clang of a phone rang out, cutting through our moment like a knife. It was his. He glanced at the screen, his expression shifting to one of guarded impatience. "Excuse me, Ava," he said, rising from his seat. "I need to take this." I watched him step away, the flutter of anxiety quickening my pulse. The glimpses I had caught of his soul began to recede, swallowed by the shadows of his enigmatic world. I felt the room grow colder, the warmth evaporating between us as he retreated into a private conversation. Lost in a swirl of my bittersweet thoughts, I couldn't help but wonder what lurked behind that wall of his. What burdens did he carry? Was he really the man everyone claimed him to be? Seconds stretched awkwardly, each tick of the clock drawing out my fears. When he finally returned, the steely resolve had returned to his jaw. "I'm sorry," he said coolly, sitting back down, a mask reappearing over the vulnerability I had glimpsed moments before. Yet, before the gravity of our earlier exchange could settle, the restaurant door swung open once more, and in strolled a woman, her entrance reminiscent of a whirlwind. She was elegantly dressed and exuded confidence as she approached our table with purpose. Familiarity flickered in her eyes when they landed on him. "Aiden," she exclaimed, almost breathlessly, "I've been looking for you. We need to talk about the merger. It cannot wait." The tension in the room shifted instantly, like a storm rolling in on a clear day. Everything in me tensed. Who was she? A colleague? A friend? The complexity of my emotions twisted like vines around my heart. Just as I felt hope tugging at my situation, a new challenge threatened to tear the fragile connection we were building apart. "Just give me a moment, Clara," Aiden replied, already rising again. "I'll be right there." I felt invisible, my heart racing as they glanced at each other with unspoken familiarity. Clara flashed me a quick, assessing look before slipping a perfectly manicured hand into Aiden's arm, leaving me to wallow in my confusion and creeping despair. As they walked away, my disappointment swelled, a fog of uncertainty washing over me. What was happening? Had I misread every signal, every moment? My chance to finally connect seemed to be slipping away, and with it, the hope I had desperately clung to. I sank back into my seat, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. Just when I thought things could change, life had a way of pulling the rug from under me. I looked down at my untouched glass of wine, and the reflection staring back held more questions than answers. As Aiden and Clara retreated, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was standing on the precipice of something unimaginable. Could I fight my way through this maze of miscommunication? Or would fear and doubt devour what little hope I had left? A sudden thought struck me, jolting me from my reverie. What if Aiden wasn't the heartless billionaire everyone claimed him to be? What if he was just as lost, just as searching? Suddenly, the tension between us felt all the more poignant and raw, leading to a cliff's edge I wasn't ready to face. Would I find the courage to uncover the truth, or would I fall into the abyss of heartbreak? The soft murmur of conversations resumed around me, but I was still anchored in the turmoil of my thoughts, an island disconnected from the warmth of the restaurant. Clara's smile, carefree and confident, gnawed at me. I fumbled with my napkin, twisting its edges as I replayed the events unfolding before me. As anxiety tightened its grip, I couldn't shake the notion that behind Aiden's guarded demeanor lay an untold story, one filled with evasion and secrets that lingered in the corners of his eyes. I felt shame for feeling the way I did, envy cutting through me like glass. Had I read our earlier moments wrong? Did he build bridges with everyone, only to pack them away when the real discussions loomed? With every passing moment, an uncomfortable truth pressed against my ribs, my insecurities twisted like vines, squeezing the breath from me. I picked at my untouched plate, no longer hungry, just wanting to escape the warmth of the restaurant that felt suffocating. As I glanced up, I caught snippets of Aiden and Clara's conversation, their laughter mingling with the clatter of silverware, a stark reminder of my solitude at the table. Then a shadow fell over me. I looked up to see an elderly man, frail yet tall, with a gentle smile that radiated kindness. He paused, seemingly observing me. "Excuse me, dear," he said softly, "is everything all right?" Surprised by his unexpected concern, I offered a weak smile. I'm fine. Just enjoying the atmosphere." He frowned slightly, as if he could see through my facade. "You don't look fine. You look like someone who needs a friend." The tenderness in his voice sparked something inside me. Here, amid the cacophony of chatter, was a stranger who seemed to truly care. "It's a complicated evening," I replied, finding solace in his gaze. "But I'll manage." His brow furrowed even more, and he tilted his head to the side, revealing a kindred spirit. Sometimes it helps to speak with someone. Share your burdens, even with a stranger. You'd be surprised how much lighter they become. For a moment, tears threatened to spill from my eyes. How could this man, someone I had never met before, grasp what I could not articulate? It felt like a tiny lifeboat in an ocean of despair. I longed to reach out, to dive into the vulnerable chaos swirling in my heart, but I hesitated, the walls pulling back tight around me again. "I'm just overthinking," I whispered instead, the phrase sounding hollow even to me. "Ah," he nodded knowingly. "The mind is treacherous in its capacity to ruin the moment. Remember, there's so much beauty in the world, even in sorrow." "Beauty?" I asked, unsure if I believed him. What beauty can come from feeling left behind? When the old man smiled, it was as though he was telling me a secret. Beauty comes from understanding. Not just of ourselves, but of others too. You see the surface, but often, beneath lies a depth we take for granted. His words hung in the air, opening new corridors of thought. While I felt tangled in my own emotions, perhaps Aiden was wrestling with his own ghosts, just beneath that polished exterior I initially found so alluring. "Thank you," I finally replied, sincerity wrapping around my words. I needed a reminder that I'm not alone, even in moments like these. Just then, Aiden returned, his presence slicing through the soft exchange between the old man and me. "Sorry about that," he said with a hint of distraction. "Clara can be relentless." The misunderstanding twisted in my chest, exacerbated by the lingering connection of the old man. "It's all right," I murmured, forcing my gaze away from Aiden. I gestured towards the door the man had just exited, hoping he was not lost in the crowd of strangers. "I just had a chat with a kind soul." Aiden's expression softened momentarily, before settling back into neutrality. "What was it about?" "About seeing beyond the surface." I held his gaze, hoping to draw that vulnerable man back from hiding. "Do you think there's beauty in understanding those deeper layers?" "I suppose," he replied carefully, but the flicker of uncertainty returned, shadowing his usual bravado. He studied me as if weighing the implications of my question against the truths we avoided. But before I could draw him deeper, Clara reappeared, her charm unsettling the fragile equilibrium we had just started to form. "Aiden. I really need you for a moment," she exclaimed, almost impatiently. As they swept away again, I felt the fragile thread of hope beginning to fray. I watched them embrace, and a tidal wave of doubt crashed over me, prompting questions that spiraled in my mind. Was I just a fleeting distraction? Why did I let myself moments of vulnerability with someone who was more suited to the polished worlds of high rises and business deals? Crushed under the weight of my insecurities and unresolved feelings, I turned back toward my drink. Just as I did, my phone buzzed, the abruptness of it startling me. Fumbling, I took it out and saw a message that made my heart stop. A photo of Aiden and Clara, taken just moments ago, a stark reminder of the closeness I could not bridge. Underneath, a message from my best friend flashed ominously. "Came across something you need to see. Call me ASAP." Could it be true? Did she find something that could shatter any illusion I'd built? Panic surged within me alongside the desperate pull of curiosity. My heart raced in a way that felt both exciting and terrifying. Was I about to uncover a hidden truth that could topple everything I had just begun to understand, or was this the very thing that might make me rethink my hope? With dread and determination, I stepped away from the table, unable to shake off the feeling that what lay beyond Aiden's enigmatic smile might lead me into a storm bigger than I could ever imagine. The air crackled with uncertainty as I stepped outside the restaurant, leaving the warm glow behind me in favor of the dim streetlights flickering against a darkening sky. My fingers trembled around my phone, the anticipation of my friend's message pulling me in two directions towards seeking the truth and retreating back into the numbing comfort of ignorance. I paced along the sidewalk, glancing at the street where a few late-night diners lingered, their animated dialogues drawing me back to a world I suddenly felt ill-equipped to navigate. I dialed my best friend's number, the anxiety swelling in my throat as I pressed the phone to my ear. Each ring felt like an eternity, a harsh reminder that my once charmed evening had splintered into uncertainty. "Hey. I've been trying to reach you," she answered, her voice bubbling with urgency. "You won't believe what I found." I inhaled sharply, my stomach churned with a mix of dread and hope. "What is it?" "About Aiden." Her words hit like a cold splash of water. "I did some digging after you mentioned him. There's more to him than meets the eye." I swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" "There's a reason he's so guarded, so financially untouchable. I think he's connected to something disturbing. It's bad, and I thought you should know before you get too involved." A knot tightened in my chest. "What kind of bad? What are you talking about?" "He's tied to that whole corporate scandal, something about shady deals." "I'm serious. People are questioning his ethics, his finances. Ivy League's he's a name in their headlines, though they've managed to bury most of it." Sucking in a breath, I felt the world around me blur, the laughter echoing from the restaurant now a distant memory. Fragments of the evening cascaded through my mind, how genuine he felt in those moments, the flickering vulnerability when I had dared to pull away layers. "No," I whispered, half pleading. "That can't be true." "I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't," she urged. "Every friend would tell you to be cautious before getting too close to someone like that." But words failed me, the comforting heat of his smile now replaced with an icy reality. Had I really let myself be charmed by someone whose very existence embroiled the lives of others in their hidden darkness? Was the warmth I felt merely a mirage, obscuring his true nature? "Is there proof?" "Yeah, but it's all preliminary. I'm still gathering intel." But you should be prepared if he is linked to something sinister, it could come crashing down. I care about you, and I want to protect you. Her sincerity felt like a knife. My heart was a battlefield, torn between the man I had just begun to see and the shadows that now loomed over him. I need time to think, I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. Meet me tomorrow. We'll talk about this more, she insisted, the urgency in her voice undeniable. We hung up, and the reality of my situation settled deeper into my bones that I looked around, the sidewalk feeling like a tightrope, each step a balancing act between hope and despair. How had I become entangled in this? Was Aiden more than just a charming stranger, or had I woven a web of fascination around something far darker? Just then, a figure approached from the restaurant entrance. Aiden, his expression shaded with confusion as he spotted me standing apart. The warmth I felt before flickered, caught between dread of the truth and an unyielding pull towards him that he paused a few paces away, the distance stretching as he seemed to wrestle through his own thoughts. Is everything okay? He asked, the light around him almost ethereal under the street lamps. The urge to tell him everything battled against the instinct to protect myself. I couldn't let him see the fear creeping through me, the fear that perhaps the man I was falling for was built on layers of deception. Just needed some air, I replied carefully, avoiding his searchlight gaze. A lot on my mind. Mind if I join? He stepped closer, unaware of the storm roiling inside me. I hesitated, every fiber of my being tractored towards honesty, yet petrified at the possibility of rejection, of heartbreak, of watching the few barely formed threads I had barely begun to grasp disintegrate in the face of reality. Actually, before I could deliver the words my heart cried out, his phone buzzed, drawing his attention. He glanced down, brow furrowing slightly. Sorry, he said, a slight edge of frustration creeping into his tone. I need to take this, give me a moment. As he walked a few steps away, a sense of dislocation set in. I watched him, conflicted emotions swirling, the icy shards of doubt juxtaposed against the soft glow of the man I had extracted some warmth from. But could he really step away so casually from the fires of scandals and suspicions? Was he worthy of my trust, or merely another mirage in the web of lies surrounding this evening? Just as he began to speak, his expression shifted, confusion giving way to something darker as he glanced back at me, utterly flabbergasted, the body language an untold narrative of dread awakening inside him. Aiden's wide eyes locked onto something behind me, panic radiating from his frame. No, not now, I turned, but before I could decipher his fear, a figure materialized from the shadows, and I felt my heart plummet into chaos as my world shifted once more. The confrontation before me was not only unexpected, but terrifyingly monumental. It was a face I recognized, stitched together with memories, a secret I had brushed aside, now pulling me inexorably into a storm that threatened to engulf everything I thought I knew. Suddenly, hope and doubt coalesced into an eruption of truth. Tonight was not the end, but merely the culmination of hidden beginnings. As fate hung heavy in the air, I realized that the deeper layers we rarely dared to excavate were about to claim their rightful audience. A chill swept through the air as I faced the figure emerging from the shadows. Jessica, my past, my long-lost friend who had vanished after a streak of bad decisions. Her presence twisted like a knife in my gut, leaving an immediate sense of betrayal hanging between us. What are you doing here? I breathed, the tension snapping like a delicate thread. Aiden's expression mirrored my shock, morphing into something unrecognizable. I was hoping to catch up with you, Jessica replied, forcing a smile that belied the darkness lurking in her eyes. It's been a while. Missed you so much. A hollow laugh escaped her lips as she stepped closer, the distance closing with each deliberate stride. Aiden shifted beside me, glancing between the two of us, bewilderment sparking in his eyes. Do you know her? No. I repeated, my voice strained. She was my best friend once before everything went south. I dared not let the memories of the past wrench my emotions. Jessica had drifted into a world of chaos, a place I had desperately tried to escape. And now I'm back, she grinned, though I could see the shadows of something darker behind her facade. Life took some unexpected turns for me. You look well. Her gaze darted to Aiden with shrewd curiosity, as if appraising this new connection in my life. What do you want, Jess? I asked, the urgency in my tone almost palpable. The past didn't just linger, it threatened to swallow me whole, and I was terrified of its darkness reclaiming me. I heard you were here after all that mess, she said, her words dripping with insincerity. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. Wanted to see if you've changed. Aiden stepped in, protective instinct flaring. Excuse me, but do you have any reason to be bothering her right now? It seems a bit sketchy, don't you think? Sketchy? Jessica echoed, her laughter tinged with spite. You think I'm the dangerous one here? You don't know who you're dealing with, handsome. For a moment, her eyes seemed to pierce through him, an unsettling blend of malice and regret swirling within their depths. I felt Aiden stiffen beside me, something dark wrapping around us like a vine. I caught a glimpse of the chill creeping back into his demeanor. The brief slice of connection we had built was suddenly overshadowed by suspicion. Step back, Jess, I said firmly, hoping her proximity to Aiden wouldn't awaken memories I had fought to forget. We're not here to discuss our past. Oh, but the past is what brought us to this moment, isn't it? She said, her voice unsettlingly calm. And you, my dear, are in deeper than you realize. What does that mean? Aiden asked, his protective stance now that of a wary guardian, scanning the street for an exit. I realized I had to clarify my ties to Jessica before this spiraled further into confusion. She, I began carefully, was my closest friend until she got mixed up in a scene I didn't want to be a part of anymore. I turned my gaze back to Jessica, you know that, Jess. You left. What do you gain from showing up now? Some friendships can bounce back, she replied coolly, her smile slipping further away. I just thought we could start a new chapter, but it looks like I'll have to help you out a bit first. And in that moment, I understood she had never truly left that world. I saw the strings pulling her back into sabotage, just as they had once ensnared me. My thoughts raced, licking at the edges of anxiety as unease shimmered between us like static electricity. Help me with what? I asked, confusion mixing with the fear now tightly coiling around my heart. Her eyes glittered, a hint of desperation now lurking in her expression. Your new friend has interests that go beyond charming dinners. He's one of them, isn't he? Aiden's posture shifted, the energy in the air thickening like storm clouds. Excuse me? He said, confronting the accusation with a blend of anger and disbelief, the words tumbled out of Jess like a spell meant to ensnare. The business he's involved in dangerous alliances, corrupt dealings. He doesn't just wear a mask, he wears a whole costume. Stop it, I begged her, drowning in the swell of dissonance. You don't know what you're talking about. But doubt crept like an invasive plant, entangling my heart. The way she spoke about him felt obsessive, almost as if she were wielding a weapon forged from her own jealousy and regret. Aiden was more than just a face in the corporate world, but she seemed convinced his charm was just another layer of camouflage. Look at him, Lola. Jessica pressed, her voice rising. His world is riddled with danger, and all you can see is that charming smile. Just stay out of it, I don't want you in the middle of something that could swallow you whole again. Stop. I shouted, echoing the tumult of emotions colliding within me. A vein of anguish coursed through me as tears threatened to spill. It was a deep and tangled heartbreak, a confrontation not just of the present, but of all my shattered hopes for a better future. I turned back towards Aiden, my heart racing in a chaotic tempo. He seemed to be grappling with every word, his brow furrowed in contemplation, searching for a shred of clarity amid the turmoil. Lola, tell me this isn't true, he said, desperation threading through his voice. I don't know. I yelled, the fear choking me. How can I trust her? How can I trust you? Steely silence enveloped us, the weight of our entangled uncertainties pressing down, straining the fragile tether that had only just begun to hold our relationship together. A moment stretched into infinity, the boundaries of truth and fiction blurring dangerously before my very eyes. The air was electric with unanswered questions, a confrontation looming like a tempest ready to erupt, and then, breaking through the uneasy silence, Aiden's phone buzzed again, but this time he didn't reach for it. Instead, his gaze locked onto mine, a flicker of regret dancing behind his eyes as shadows of doubt twisted in him. "The truth," he finally murmured, his voice heavy with what I dreaded, "it's more complicated than what you're being told." As those words hung suspended in the air, a dread uncertainty flooded my heart, and the flicker of hope I had once clung to felt more tenuous than ever. I could sense the storm brewing beyond the horizon, ready to wash away all that we had just begun to build. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, Jessica's face morphed into a mask of despair, her eyes darting to the darkness filling the street, panic erupting as she blurted, "We need to leave. It's not safe here." Before I could protest, she seized my arm, pulling me away as the shadows behind us stirred with potential chaos, dragging me from the precious moment just before truth would break like the dawn. Aiden's cry of protest was muffled, blurred into an echoing void as chaos unfolded around us, the weight of decisions yet to be made clinging to my heart like an anchor to the depths below. In an instant, our fragile connection shattered under the weight of a truth I wasn't ready to face, and as I was pulled further from him, the last fleeting glimmer of connection flickered out. The bustling city street was alive with the sounds of life, distant laughter, the soft hum of conversations, and the haunting melody of a street performer tucked away under a flickering street lamp. Yet amidst this vibrant chaos, I felt utterly suffocated, my heart racing as Jessica's grip tightened around my arm, dragging me through the thrumming crowd. "Jess, stop!" I pleaded, wrenching my arm free. The sudden jolt of freedom only amplified the whirling storm of emotions inside me. "What is going on? Where are you taking me?" Jessica shot a glance over her shoulder, her eyes wide with fear, a stark contrast to the confident facade she had just displayed. "I told you, Lola, it's not safe. You don't understand what you're getting involved in." "Not safe? You're the one who just appeared out of nowhere with wild claims about Aiden." The heat of desperation leaked into my words. "You think he's dangerous? He's tried to be nothing but supportive. Because that's what they do." Jessica's voice quivered with an urgency that cut through my disbelief. "I've seen it time and again. They lure you in, make you believe they're different. They?" I interrupted, exasperated. "Who are they? Aiden is just a man. He's not a monster." Jessica halted suddenly, her shoulders tense, and the flickering streetlight cast eerie shadows across her face. "Not a monster? You really think he's just some regular guy? Lola, he's involved in things that could tear you apart. People like him are never who they say they are. You need to see through the charm." My mind spun, wrestling with the conflicting images of Aiden, the kind, thoughtful man I was getting to know, and the shadowy character Jessica painted. The air thickened with distrust and desperation, and for a moment, I felt like I was teetering on the edge of a precipice with no firm ground beneath my feet. "Tell me something then," I implored, my voice barely above a whisper. "What do you know? Why are you really here?" Jessica inhaled sharply, and for a heartbeat, I thought I saw vulnerability crack through her hardened exterior. "Because I came to protect you after everything I went through. It's my fault you're in this mess. I can't let you get hurt like I did. I just need you to trust me." Before I could respond, I caught Aiden's silhouette merging with the crowd, his tall figure cutting through the throng like a slice of piercing clarity. Just as I opened my mouth to call out to him, the moment shattered, my voice disappearing into the clamor around us. "Lola!" he shouted, urgency threading through his tone as he surged closer, confusion and worry etched across his features. "What is going on? I saw you with her, and then are you okay?" A wave of relief hit me, sweeping through me in a rush as his familiar presence steadied the chaos swirling in my heart. But the momentary comfort was short-lived. Jessica stepped in front of me, fury igniting in her gaze as she squared off against Aiden. "This isn't your fault, Aiden," she spat, the venom in her words clear. "You really think you can charm her away from the truth?" "Get out of my way, Jess," he replied, his voice low and edged, an authority seeping through his calm. "Lola deserves to know the truth, and you're not helping." "Truth? Is that what you call it?" When Jessica spoke, it was as if she were channeling all her pain and betrayal, intertwining with reality and herself into a fury that radiated like waves on a stormy sea. "You think you care about her, but you're just as lost in the game as everyone else." Enough! I yelled, my voice shattering the static between us like glass. The weight of their accusations bore down on me until I thought I might collapse under stress. Yet the fire inside me was igniting, demanding clarity. Both of you need to stop. I can't process all of this. As I scanned their faces, Aiden's eyes filled with genuine concern, while Jessica's were tinged with desperation. A conflict was ringing loud in my heart, both arguing for the truth. I tore my gaze from Aiden before fear pushed me completely away. I need space, I said, stepping back, craving distance, but it only made the air feel tighter. Nested in the shadows, I caught a fleeting moment of kindness beneath the weight of lies. A nearby musician plucked a few gentle notes on his guitar, creating a melody that momentarily stole my breath away. It was small, but it gave me a flicker of hope amid this chaos, a reminder that kindness could exist even in the midst of turmoil. Lola, Aiden reached out, desperate, his voice a low murmur that made my heart skip a beat. Please don't let her drive you away. We can talk about this. Just give me a chance to explain. But just as I thought my heart might resolve into clarity, Jessica stepped closer to me. Just remember what this world took from me, she whispered, her expression softening momentarily, the heartbreak evident in her eyes. I'd do anything to keep you from suffering the same fate. The sincerity in her plea made me pause, and for a second, doubt crept back in, weaving around my heart. Was I truly safe with Aiden? Suddenly, the phone in Aiden's pocket buzzed violently, breaking the fragile tension cloaking us. He glanced at the screen, the light illuminating his face and twisting his expression into one of unease. Lola, he said, panic rising, we need to go. Right now. Just as I turned to ask why, an unsettling energy rippled through the crowd. People were pushing back, a palpable fear rising with the shouts in the distance, shouting followed by the unmistakable sound of sirens closing in fast. My heart raced as chaos threatened to spiral completely out of control. Lola. Aiden grabbed my hand, desperation flooding his features. Please, trust me. Let us just get out of here. I looked to Jessica, who wore a mask of pain that felt all too familiar. She hesitated, torn, but then suddenly grabbed my other hand, her grip fierce, perhaps owing to the one friendship that once meant everything to her. I will protect you, no matter the cost, she murmured urgently, her gaze flickering toward Aiden with an intensity that hinted at unspoken truths. With uncertainty roiling within me, fear and conviction spurred me forward into the unknown. As sirens wailed and chaos erupted around us, I clung to both their hands, caught between two worlds spiraling farther from clarity, my heart a fragmented puzzle waiting for an answer that remained achingly elusive amidst the chaos. And then, as we plunged deeper into the frenzy, a shadow darted past. My heart dropped. The flickering figure of someone watching us from a distance vanished into the dark. I would recognize that silhouette anywhere. A chilling realization washed over me. It was not just Aiden's past but Jessica's too that was stitched into this web, both of them tethered to something far greater, pulling me in and away from the promise of the life I thought I was rebuilding. The truth hid like a spark beneath a storm, waiting to burst free at any moment. The streets twisted and turned like a maze of uncertainty, each corner echoing with muffled cries and distant chaos that thrummed through my bones. I could feel the weight of Aiden and Jessica's grip on my hands, a tether to two worlds that seemed increasingly irreconcilable. My heart raced as we moved through the throng of bodies, people jostling each other, eyes wide with panic or excitement, the energy electrifying and overwhelming. Where do we go? I gasped, my pulse pounding in time with the whirring sirens that grew louder. Aiden's gaze darted around, assessing our options like a hawk scanning for prey. We need to find a safe place, he replied, urgency threading through his voice. A place to hide until this blows over. I promise I'll explain everything when we're safe. Jessica's grip tightened around my wrist, her eyes scanning the crowd as if it were one large, pulsating threat. This way. Follow me. She shouted, leading us toward a narrow alley that cut between two brick buildings, shrouded in shadows. The alley beckoned like a secret passage, but apprehension gnawed at the edges of my resolve. What lay ahead? Was this what I needed? We slipped into the alley, and the noise surged behind us, growing fainter, but the unknown still cloaked us in a heavy veil of dread and anticipation. Aiden glanced back, his expression a mix of concern and defiance. "Trust me," he urged again, his grip softening just enough for me to feel the warmth he radiated. Even amidst our turmoil, Jessica stepped close to me, a protective wildness flickering in her eyes. "Stay close," she warned, casting her glance toward Aiden with a hint of something unspoken that pried at the corners of my mind. "You don't know the real danger that comes from him." "Enough, Jess." Aiden snapped, his voice cutting through the heaviness like a knife. "This isn't the time for old grudges. We need to focus on getting Lola to safety." The fire in his voice rippled through me, igniting memories of our brief connection, but doubt clawed its way back. How could I truly know him? As we crouched in the shadows, breathing in the dampness of the alley, Aiden pulled out his phone and swiped through his screen. "I'm going to get a car here," he said, anxiety palpable in his tone. "Just stay quiet for a moment." "Why are we hiding?" I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady, even as my heart felt like a trapped bird beating wildly against a cage. "What are you involved in?" He gazed at me with genuine fear pooled in his eyes, filled with an urgency that begged for understanding. "I told you, I'll explain everything, just let us get to safety first." A muffled shout echoed out front, and my chest tightened. "So, this is what you've been hiding? You're involved in something dangerous." I could hardly get the words out, not from malice but disbelief. "You can't expect me to turn a blind eye now." Jessica shifted closer to me, her arm brushing against mine with a strangely comforting warmth. "He's been lying, Lola. You deserve to know." The fight in her eyes was fierce, a reminder of the scars she carried, yet didn't heal, even when she tried to protect me. "I'm not lying." Aiden shot back, voice firm yet rife with frustration, revealing layers of desperation I had never seen before. "I didn't want any of this. You think I chose to get entangled in this world? What happened to you?" I pressed, quivering beneath the weight of their enmity, as they stood poised at odds over me, and the truth, whatever it might be, hung in the air like thick smoke. "Letting you get hurt is what happened to me," he replied, a hint of regret piercing through the steeliness of his resolve. I thought I could push through it, but he faltered, saliva catching in his throat as he hesitated. That my heart sank at the raw emotion in his voice, something dark lurking in the back of his eyes, but he couldn't get the words out. And Jessica, always watching, always warning, looked ready to shatter at any moment. Before I could say another word, a figure appeared at the entrance of the alley. My pulse quickened again when I noticed the unmistakable silhouette, a dark cloak billowing behind them, their features obscured by the dim light. That in an instant, recognition hit me. It was him. The man I'd seen before, lurking in the corners of my life, the one whose gaze sent shivers down my spine. My instincts screamed at me to retreat, but there was nowhere left to run. "Lola," the figure drawled, voice smooth yet steady, a dangerous undertow lurking underneath the calm. "You're not as far from the truth as you think. And your precious Aiden isn't what he seems." My heart sank toward my stomach as dread wrapped around my throat, tightening until I could barely breathe. The shadows around us felt darker now, imbued with the chill of 1,000 unspoken truths. I turned to Aiden, but I found only a mask of anger and helplessness on his face, the fracture of desperation lingering between us. My heart thundered in my chest, gripping pieces of fears I had yet to confront. I stood frozen, aware of the choices unfurling before me. I was teetering between trust and betrayal, certainty and doubt, the chasm between what I longed to believe and the reality unraveling before me. And just as I felt I might escape the tension for one breath, the figure stepped closer, revealing a glimpse of their face, a cruel smile that left me gasping. It was a family member I thought long lost, someone connected to both Aiden and Jessica, a piece of my past colliding with my present in a way I never imagined possible. "Hello, Lola," they said, their eyes reflecting the darkness that might just swallow me whole. "It's time you understood everything." The weight of uncertainty bore down on me as I stared at the figure before us. The cruel smile twisted something deep within me, igniting a maelstrom of emotions. My heart was a wild drum, echoing the shock that ran through my veins. How could this be? "Cassandra?" I managed to breathe, the name slipping from my lips like some ancient spell. It was a name long buried within the family lore, whispered about but never spoken aloud. The sister my parents had said was gone, lost to an unforgiving world, a story told to shield us from pain, now standing before me, cloaked in mystery and malice. The smile widened, a taunting crescent moon in the dim alleyway. "So delightful to see you again, dear sister," Cassandra purred, her voice like silk draped over jagged edges. "Especially now that you're tangled up in this mess." She gestured at Aiden and Jessica, who stood rigid, tension radiating from them like heat from a flame. "Get away from her," Aiden shouted, stepping forward, but Jessica held his arm, grounding him with an unyielding grip. "Let us not be hasty, Aiden," Cassandra said, a humorless laughter spilling from her lips. "After all, I'm here to provide some clarity for our sweet Lola. You've all been so busy hiding from the truth." "Clarity?" I echoed, my voice trembling. "What do you know, Cassandra?" It was as if I were reaching for a lifeline, desperate to grab onto anything that would make sense of the chaos enveloping me. She took a step closer, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of mischief and malice. "I know everything, dear sister. About Aiden, about Jessica, and about the power that lies beneath our family's name. It's time you understood the real stakes here." The way she spoke felt like a heavy shroud wrapping around me, one that choked the air from my lungs and made the very ground beneath my feet shaky. I cast a quick glance at Aiden, whose face was a portrait of turmoil, caught between defiance and fear. Jessica's concerned gaze flicked between us, her unwavering loyalty stirring something within me, but the knot of desperation in my chest tightened. "Stay back, Lola," Jessica whispered urgently, her voice low and fierce, a silent plea mixed with caution. But I felt a strange pull toward Cassandra, a magnetism sucking me into the darkness she represented. I was teetering on the edge of a precipice, staring deep into an abyss that beckoned me closer. "What do you want?" Cassandra's smile tightened, transforming into something more sinister. "To invite you into our world, where nothing is as it seems, and power plays are the currency of survival." She paused, as if relishing my confusion. "You think Aiden is the one protecting you?" "He's just a pawn, my dear. Tell her, Aiden. Tell her who you really are." The accusation hung in the air like a storm cloud. Aiden's expression shifted, the resolve crumbling for a fraction of a second to expose vulnerability too raw. "Lola, I can explain." "I never wanted any of this, Lola." Jessica interrupted, her voice urgent, cutting through the tension with a sharpness that made me flinch. "We need to go. Now." Before I could process her words, Cassandra laughed again, low and menacing. "Where do you think you'll go?" She taunted, her eyes glinting like shards of glass. "The streets aren't safe, and every step you take leads you deeper into the labyrinth I control." My heart raced, each beat a frantic reminder of dangers lurking beyond the shadows. "You can't control everything," I shot back, defiance flaring momentarily. "Oh, but I can," she replied, her voice a seductive whisper that clung to the walls of the alley. "And my dear sister, your ignorance to our family legacy will only serve to put you in greater peril." Suddenly, noises erupted from the street as the chaos I had initially fled crept back into focus. Shouts grew louder, voices drenched in urgency and fear. The familiar wail of sirens rang through the air, mixing with the rising chorus of panic. "Cassandra, we have to get out of here," Aiden urged, stepping protectively closer to me. "They're coming." She tilted her head slightly, her gaze growing sharper. "Yes, but not before you understand the full extent of our bond, Lola. Family can be a curse or a weapon. The choice, dear sister, is yours." Then, just as the tension pulsed at its peak, a blur of movement caught my eye from the corner of the alley. A group of shadows emerged, figures clad in dark clothing, faces obscured, merging into the chaos. My heart sank. Had they followed us? "Go!" Jessica shouted, shoving Aiden and me away from Cassandra, her instincts screaming in tandem with hers. "Run!" But as we spun to escape, my gaze caught Cassandra's once more. The cruel smile didn't falter, it seemed to grow wider, bolder, like a predator anticipating its prey. You can run, but remember, the truth always catches up. With trembling legs, I followed Aiden and Jessica, plunging deeper into the fray, yet the weight of Cassandra's revelation clung to me, shrouded in complexity and darkness. Despite the urgency pushing us forward, I felt the distance between trust and betrayal yawning wider with each frantic step we took, all while the footprints of my past followed close behind, ready to drag me back into the depths. And just when I thought I could escape the night, the sudden shift of a hand on my shoulder made me whirl around to find another figure there, face hidden beneath a hood. I gasped, my instincts screaming for retreat, as a chilling voice broke the darkness saying, "Lola, you forgot about me." Each word was laced with familiarity, and my world tilted violently on its axis. Panic surged through me, a frightening rush as the name slipped from my lips without thought. Eli? The whisper escaped before I could grasp the magnitude of what I was saying. The figure stilled, the hood partially concealing his face, but the flicker of recognition was unmistakable. Surprised? He asked, a hint of smugness punctuating the tension. I figured you could use a friend in this chaos. Friend? Jessica snapped, her voice strained as she positioned herself protectively in front of me. You have no idea what she's involved in. We don't know who you are anymore, Eli. The shadows around us shifted, the panic growing louder, a cacophony of distant screams and sirens closing in. I felt an overwhelming urge to push through the chaos, to unravel the truth about my past and this unexpected ally. Why are you here? I demanded, my heart pounding a rapid beat of confusion and fear. Eli took a cautious step forward, lowering his hood slightly to reveal the intensity of his gaze. I came to warn you, Lola. Cassandra is playing a dangerous game, and she won't stop until she gets what she wants. You need me. Before I could muster a response, a series of footsteps echoed nearby, matching the frantic pulse of my heart. The voices intensified, merging into a symphony of urgency. Aiden, still pressed against me, glanced back toward the street, his eyes widening with dread. We can't trust him, Lola. Let us just go. Don't you see? Eli's voice cut through our chaos, raw and filled with something that resembled desperation. I'm trying to protect you. What if I'm the only one who can help you navigate this mess? What mess? I asked, my resolve crumbling under the weight of his insistence. What's happening, Eli? Who are you really? He hesitated, and in that moment, I felt the darkness of uncertainty creeping back in. I'm not who I used to be, Lola. I made choices, desperate choices. But more important, I'm tied to your family's secrets. The shadows thickened, and confusion swirled as the realization hit me like cold water. A family legacy entangled with betrayal, deceit, and now, this man standing before me, a heartbreaker from a past I barely understood. What kind of secrets? I asked, disbelief biting at the edges of my voice. Cassandra's laughter echoed faintly behind us. Ah, isn't it charming? The past dances with the present in your little loyalty drama. Eli knows more than he's letting on. The air crackled with tension as Eli turned to Cassandra, his expression shift into a mask of determination. You don't own her, Cassandra. What you seek isn't loyalty, it's manipulation. Jessica grabbed my arm fiercely, her grip serving as a reminder that danger lurked in every shadow. Lola, we need to move. She urged, pulling me just as time seemed to fracture and everything surged forward. Suddenly, Aiden darted a glance behind us, fear sculpted on his face. They're closer now. Before I could respond, Eli forced his way between us and the looming threat that lurked at the alley's mouth. There's a way out. He barked, urgency slicing through the chaos as he ripped off his hood to reveal a face I once knew buried under layers of time and pain. Through the back street. Eli shouted, urgency fueling his movements. Trust me this way. Something about his eyes cried for my trust, yet the shadows of doubt swirled around me, thick enough to choke. Aiden stepped forward, unwilling to let fear dictate his actions. No. We can't follow him. We don't know where he's leading us. I felt torn, caught between promises of safety and the haunting pull of familiarity. But what choice do we have? I murmured, more to myself than to anyone else. Aiden's expression shifted, gauging the balance between risk and safety. Lola. Jessica's voice sliced through my hesitation, pulling my focus back to the immediate threat gathering behind us. A few shadowy figures emerged in the distance, their intentions cloaked in menace. We don't have time to debate. With the sound of pounding footsteps reverberating in the alley, dread mingled with resolve, igniting an ember of hope. Choosing to trust. Eli may prove to lead us out of the labyrinth, but would it also deepen the divide between what I remembered and the truth waiting to unravel? Please, Eli urged, eyes pleading while the chaos grew. Just a little faith, just this once. And as the moment unfolded, I felt the chasm of uncertainty between us, which path would lead us to safety, and what secrets would emerge when we ventured further into the unknown. But before I could respond, there was a sharp cry from the alley's entrance, shrouded in urgency as shadows pulsed forward. You can't leave without knowing the truth, Lola. Cassandra's voice rang out, echoing like the toll of a death knell, freezing my very marrow. You belong to the family, and the family always collects its due. As the figures surged toward us, adrenaline coursed through my veins. The weight of Cassandra's words hung heavy in the air, and I made the choice, an emotional leap into uncertainty and hope. Let us go. I shouted, gripping Aiden's hand tightly and stepping into the darkness with Eli beside us, yet, as we broke into a sprint, Cassandra's laughter followed us, twisting through the night like a specter, a chilling reminder that the past could never be outrun, only confronted. And what awaited us in the shadows was known only to the heart, and a legacy that refused to be buried. We raced through the darkened alley, heartbeats thundering like war drums in the throes of chaos. The adrenaline pumping through my veins made every step feel like a battle, a frenzied blur of hope and despair as we hurtled deeper into the unknown. Behind us, the cacophony of shouts, laughter, and sirens descended into a singular, menacing roar. Eli led the way, his back straight with determination, yet an air of uncertainty soaked through the intensity in his steps. I grasped Aiden's hand tightly, desperate to tether myself to a safety I feared slipping away. Jessica followed closely, her breath coming in quick bursts, shadows draping over her features, but her resolve burned clear in her eyes. Stay close. Eli's voice cut through the tension, guiding us into a narrow passageway that twisted like a serpent through the pulsating heart of the city. Each sharp turn felt like a decision, one that diverted me ever so slightly away from the remnants of the person I once was. We stumbled into a dimly lit courtyard, an abandoned haven wrapped in silence, illuminated only by distant streetlights spilling weak pools of illumination. It felt like stepping into another realm, a world apart from the chaos that clawed at our heels. The night breathed secrets, and the air was thick with anticipation. As we paused to catch our breath, I scanned the familiar faces around me, feeling an unspeakable bond tether us together, yet knowing that loyalties were as precarious as thin ice waiting to shatter beneath the weight of truth. What did you mean by family? I asked Eli, my voice trembling yet fierce, demanding answers. What connections tie you to our past? He shifted, a flicker of unease flickering through his eyes, the light hardening as he prepared to peel back the layers we'd only begun to unravel. I wouldn't have returned if it weren't dire, he said, echoing the urgency that clung to the corners of our minds. Cassandra has her claws deep into a power struggle that involves more than just business dealings. She's pitting our family against enemies hidden in the shadows, all while you're caught in the crossfire. Enough of the vagueness. Aiden snapped, his voice cutting through Eli's cryptic explanations like a knife. The stakes are too high. We deserve to know everything if we're going to survive. Aiden, hold on, Jessica whispered, pulling him back gently, her eyes imploring him for calm. It's true. We need to piece it all together. But we can't let anger dictate our choices now. Eli spoke again. Lola, there is something buried deep within our family, a legacy connected to wealth, betrayal, and blood that has stained the very ground we walk on. I came back not just to help you, but to protect the only hope left, the truth. The weight of his words echoed like a drumbeat in my chest, reverberating with memories half-formed yet potent. A shadowy figure from the past whispered secrets of power alongside laughter and lives ensnared. The fragments of my family history came crashing together, a puzzle I'd never learned how to assemble, inexplicably crashing against the walls of my mind. What truth? I swallowed hard, forcing the words out through the cyclone in my heart, trying to gather what strings of hope wrapped around anger, pain, and betrayal. What do I need to know? Aiden stepped forward, his presence steady and grounding as he reached for me. Whatever it is, we face it together now and always. There was a sincerity in his voice, one that reached past the tumult of pain echoing around us. There are choices to make, Eli added, holding my gaze with an unyielding force that shimmered with remorse. Choices that bind us not just to each other, but to a legacy that still lingers. Choices that ultimately frame our destiny. But every step to clarity felt like navigating through a minefield. The implications of their words stretched past the boundaries of mine. Guilt clawed at my heart as fragments of memories washed over me. Could I ever escape the repercussions of what lay ahead, or would I succumb to the legacy beckoning from the past? The silence hung heavier than ever, breath synchronized as uncertainties intertwined. We cannot allow fear to define our paths, Jessica spoke softly, looking between us. We need to make a stand against whatever is pursuing us. I took a deep breath as courage coiled tightly around my heart. Then let us confront it, I declared, letting the fire in my veins burn bright. Show me the truth. Together, we'll face this darkness. A palpable shift echoed through the group, the collective resolve that hung in the air, transforming the shadows into a potent ally. We huddled tighter, breaths mingling against uncertainty, the tether of courage anchoring us, weaving between fear and determination to take the plunge into the unknown. And yet, as we prepared to step forward, the quiet corners of the courtyard exploded into movement, a rush of figures pouring in from both exits caught in the web of our choices, unveiling the truths that lay awaiting beneath the city that had once felt so alive. Those who dwelled in the shadows now emerged, intent on laying claim to what they believed belonged to them. Just then, the world we knew splintered. As voices punctured the steady air, hands darted forward, a flicker of recognition twisted in the darkened faces, and my breath caught, grappling with the realization that the true heart of this tangled web was about to unfurl. A voice rose above the chaos, commanding like a storm, frightening and familiar. Lola. Jonathan, a man I had hoped never to see again, stepped from the throng, his face a mirage of contours I once loved intertwined with shadows I had learned to fear. I told you it would come to this. In an instant, everything narrowed, the universe collapsed inward, leaving space only for the tumult of emotions unspooling in me. All past grievances fused like molten metal, crafting the dilemma that now bore weight like 1,000 stars. Jonathan, I rasped. What do you want? And with that, the tightrope of uncertainty snapped, plunging me into the depths of what it meant to confront not just the battles of a past long hidden in silence, but choices that were now determined to connect with the future, pulling at the fragile threads that formed the shape of friendship, loyalty, and love woven into the hearts of those around me. In that moment, I felt the inevitable rush of decision, a reckoning tied to trust and betrayal spiraling toward an ending yet to be written. With the shadows of our pasts twisting dangerously toward the dawn of a new understanding, and as I stood there on the precipice of choice, I finally realized the truth. The bonds forged in love and pain were powerful and irrevocable, and the only way to navigate the chaos ahead was to embrace the very intricacies of the legacy we hoped to escape. From this moment forward, I said, a gentle fire igniting in my voice, there's no turning back. And collectively, we stood, together and unyielding, ready to face whatever unknown served our truth, ready to redefine what it meant to rise from the ashes of the past and emerge into the light of tomorrow, where hope and love waited just beyond the horizon. Let us rewrite our story, I murmured, my heart pounding with determination, and claim what's rightfully ours. And with that final declaration, with fingers still entwined, we stepped forward, determined to face the dawn hand in hand. For in that moment, I embraced the shadows, danced with the memories, and prepared to take flight together.